All right, good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of The Buzz, the show that brings social media closer to you. My name is Patience Bello Kafo, welcoming you on this Thursday edition of the show. I'm here, Alero is here as well. Good afternoon, Alero.
Good afternoon, Patience. And well, I get to say happy Thursday.
Happy is there a thing as happy Thursday?
It's today.
Yeah, today, and you have to be.
She comes up with all these things.
And he made a greeting.
And you are not Yoruba. If you are Yoruba, say, because Yorubas, they
Thursday.
greet you for everything, you know.
Echo Thursday.
Same to you. Welcome to the show. Okay, today, we look at lifestyle issues, relationship issues as they break on social media. And today is no different as we're looking at salient issues within Nigeria that people have commented on different portals on social media. And of course, the show is quite interactive. You can send us SMS on the number 07087407508. And you can also make use of other social media portals to reach us.
Yes, using the hashtag TheBuzz on Facebook, www.facebook.com/GalaxyTV, and also on Twitter at official Galaxy TV. And yes, you could get to watch previous editions of the program of The Buzz. Yes, all what you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, Galaxy TV Nigeria.
That's right. And having said that, let's quickly introduce our guests on the show for this afternoon. Sitting very close by to me, I mean, you can tell she's a fashionista in her own right. Very well put together. She's the creative director for The Wardrobe, and she's a fashion entrepreneur. My guest is Mrs. Adetun Awofeso. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Patience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
I love your smile. All right, the only man in our midst today.
Blessed
Blessed
women.
amongst women. Yes, and you know that he's not just big; his voice is big too. And we hope he will lend that big voice to our topics this afternoon. He's a public relations expert, amongst many other things. And do I need to mention that he's a Knight of St. John in the Catholic Church?
Correct.
Abi?
Correct.
So do we need to put JP in front of your name?
No, not
Okay,
necessarily.
not yet.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
But we can put it.
Just Peter.
All right, that's Mr. Peter Osangbi on the show this afternoon. Thank
Good
you for
afternoon,
joining
sir.
us.
Thank you very much.
All right. And also another woman that I've known for quite a while in the fashion business in Nigeria. I mean, I'm pleased to see you're aging gracefully.
Like her name.
Yes, gracefully, yes. She's the creative director for Gravido Fashions, also a fashion entrepreneur, Mrs. Grace Dogubo. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. You're almost like a household name in Galaxy TV. We all know you. Thank you for coming through this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
All right. Of course, we'll be discussing the topics, fashion revolution in Nigeria. We'll be looking at building trust in relationships. But we would like to start with child rape and the role of parents. Child rape and the role of parents. And while we're looking at this issue, not too long ago, the coordinator of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team, Mrs. Titi Lola Vivo Adeni, while granting a newspaper interview, she said some parents actually make it easy for an abuser to defile their children. She further on went to say parents leaving their wards in the hands of neighbors has over time made it easy for an abuser to abuse them. She added that some men with erectile dysfunction who have abused little children said they did it because the little children will not laugh at them. So there's a complex issue in the whole thing. But this issue is quite debatable. Whether or not parents are quite responsible or not, that's what we're trying to trash out on the show this afternoon. But before we do that, let's take this quick footage on the menace of child rape in Nigeria. And this is courtesy The Big Show AIT. We'll take this clip and then we'll be back.
Sexual abuse is a global phenomenon that occurs across cultures and socio-economic groupings with long-term mental and physical consequences. global estimates shows that between 7 to 37% of females and 5 to 10% of male children have experienced sexual abuse. In Nigeria, only 1 out of 10 reported sexual abuses as a male child as a victim. It is alluded that in Africa, cultural parenting practices and overwhelming respect for elders all provide the opportunities for such acts to occur without resistance. This little girl is a 2-year-old, raped by police corporal Antonio Noja in Nasarawa State, who has been dismissed from office after facing an administrative disciplinary panel and charged to court. This is 1 out of several cases of rape which have occurred, but there is no known case of conviction.
The difficulties of prosecution. Then again, confidence in the criminal justice system is very low with respect to such cases.
Nobody talks about it. The children cannot talk about it because when they go to their moms, the moms will say, no, don't talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. So we need to talk about it. We need to bring it out there, just like the scourge on AIDS. If we tell people this does exist, then they will know how to protect themselves.
Once somebody sexually violates you without your consent, it is traumatic. We need to strengthen the legal framework because the current legal framework that we have doesn't take care of the kinds of violence that we're seeing in the society. It doesn't deter people from committing these acts of violence against small children. And what is even more scary is the fact that even fathers are perpetrators of this violence against their children.
People do this thing because they get away with it.
The consequences of sexual abuse on children can be severe. This may include post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, stigmatization, suicidal notions and attempts, and inappropriate sexualized behavior. But without proper rehabilitation, the victims pose serious danger to the society. Long-term consequences are enormous, and current responses are inadequate.
Welcome back. All right, so once again, that clip is courtesy The Big Show, AIT, and that was the menace of child rape in Nigeria. Ms. Awofeso, you're a woman and a mother, I guess. So let's discuss this issue of children, babies, that's what we are confronted with in the news every day, being sexually violated. How is it the fault of the parents, in all of this?
I think to a certain extent, one can believe the parents sometimes cause it because, especially in the African setup, we just believe a brother, an uncle, a friend has a right to your children anyhow, because you just want to assume it's a family member. And this is really a big issue because you just take people for the face value, and many parents are really guilty of this. You want to go out, oh, my brother-in-law is around, he can watch over my baby. My brother is around, he can watch over my baby. My neighbor is around, he can watch over my baby. I think if you look at the tradition, that really could be a problem. But I'm glad everybody's becoming aware now that it's not safe. Don't just assume because somebody is your blood, somebody is your relative. You can leave your baby with such a person. That awareness is on the increase now. That could have been the reason why we have such problems.
And because recently now you said something that the awareness is more now. A lot of people actually voice out. And let's talk about way back then, because now it all boils down to the parents. The mother is so busy, she needs to make ends meet, and she needs to go out to work and needs to keep the child with probably a brother, a nanny, family friend, or neighbor or something. But way back then, we still had people that were probably raped in the hands of uncles and aunties, even in the presence, under the same roof that the mother did.
The same roof, yes.
The mother was still at home. So what do you think really is wrong? Don't you think it's just something in which a lot of people met in their generation way back then?
and we're carrying it on.
Or until now?
Yes, I think the truth is that sometimes we are over secretive. Sometimes a mother is aware of it and she's not confident enough to announce it. Or because she's afraid of embarrassing the person so concerned. And also the society is like, I don't want to embarrass my child, I would rather make it a secret. But I think that's really, really wrong. We need to be bold, we need to be confident, we need to announce issues. Whatever is wrong, let's call it a spade a spade. And I say it again, everybody's learning now.
Okay.
You don't cover shame, you don't cover evil. Do
Okay.
not be afraid.
All right,
So
Mr. Osangbi, what is
Yes.
wrong with our parenting skills in Nigeria?
I would like to differ slightly from what she had just said, Mrs. Awofeso. Pardon me if I don't pronounce
You're
it
right,
right.
you got
I don't want us to use this argument to destroy our traditional values. We know our values are different from Western values. We are neighbors keepers, family, friends, and relationships. Your relations join you in raising, members of your family. But having said that, I think the key thing is that we as parents must show some care about our children and how we expose them to dangers of being raped. It is not only leaving them in the hands of relations. In fact, even your neighbors, even in schools, they get raped in schools.
Sure.
So, and these are not relations, do you understand? So, but
But then there are people who have close interaction,
Yes,
with
it's
this
safe.
children.
My child is safe with this person. How
Yeah.
much do you know about that person is the issue? You just
yeah,
assume.
Yeah, even those still commit it.
Exactly, that's what we're saying.
Those that are close to you and all that. So, but I think the solution, is for parents to be a little bit, more responsible, in the areas of taking care of their children. There are some parents who, as soon as they come back from work, the next thing is to have dinner, and then the other thing is to just go to sleep. You're not checking your child, to see, whether there are new developments, whether the child is, experiencing pain, fear. Some of these signs manifest, when they are, raped or touched, usually, so to speak.
Yes, that's true. All right, let's interrupt the flow for just a second. As we bring you this breaking news. Was it in the course of the week, earlier in the week,
earlier in the
last week, that we discussed the issue of the hike in the Lagos State land use charge?
That was last week Thursday.
Yeah, last week Thursday. Over 400% increase on the land use charge. But today is breaking that Lagos State has reduced the land use charge.
Yeah. The
Thank
commissioner.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the commissioner for finance.
Yes.
Okay, quickly, the Commissioner for Finance in Lagos State said it is been said it's going to be reduced about 50%. Yeah, so that's noticed. So
It's still high, but we're happy to know that at least we've got their ear, that they're listening. Please,
so we had to just break that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ambode, for listening to the cry of the masses. Thank you so much.
And thanks to me and too.
So let's continue with our discussion. So let's bring in Mrs. Dogubo into this discussion. As a mother, while growing up, I was always confronted with the saying, it takes a village to raise a child, which means your neighbors, your immediate family, even extended
people
family.
that you don't even know.
No, you understand, have a responsibility of looking out, for other people's children. We look out for each other, all of that. But the narrative has since changed, since people have started speaking out a bit more about sexual violation and sexual abuse and all of that. Now, as a mother, it becomes very worrisome because sometimes the reality we're confronted with is you cannot be with your child 100%. You know what I mean? I'm at work now. I'm not with my children. I have children. Do you get what I mean? So, at what point really should a mother begin to worry, about leaving their children alone by themselves? And at what point really do you begin to suspect foul play?
Because of the situation of the country now, the social awareness of so many things. Initially, I would say when the child is about starting creche, or the baby can say his first word, you know, because a lot of changes has come. We've heard of even babies being given, sexually violated. You understand me? So those ones can't even talk. You don't even know what is going on with them. So, but initially I used to say, train up the child. By the time the child is a year plus, the child can talk, is going to creche, begin to give them sex education. I did that, and thank God it helped, because my first daughter almost had an issue then. When the first week she started school, she came back home and she asked me, "Mommy, what is this called?" I said, "Bonbon." "And what is this?" I said, "Bonbon." She said, "No, Mommy, it's Koto," and I was embarrassed. Your first week at school,
and
she
you already
was just 2 years.
Wow.
Do you understand me? But by the time she was starting, I told her, when you get to school, nobody wash your buttocks. Nobody, when you go to toilet, if you can't clean up, come home, put on your pants, I will clean you up. Except your auntie. And anybody that wants to touch into your complaint, and you should scream. Do you understand me? So I think that helped. So situation like that, from when the child start talking, begin to lecture the child little things at their level. Then as they grow up, they ask certain questions. You know the child is mature to know another stage. Then you begin to tell them, you don't this, you don't that. Why? Because if we don't, even the 2-year-old child watches TV. And today, most of the programs, they are exposed to certain things.
There are sexual innuendos in everything, subliminal messages.
And children want to learn. Children want to explore. They want to do what they see. They want to practice it.
Yeah.
So we need to begin to each stage. And when a mother starts working, you are going to work. You should know your child. When there are changes, because the attachment, the closeness, the relationship between you and that child, even from baby, you'll be able to know when the child is beginning to have some psychological changes or imbalance. You'll be able to tell. So you get close to that child, you begin to ask some kind of questions. And from time to time, go to the child's room. How does the child sleep? Would he, among the uncles, the friends, who is she attached mostly with? It could be a male, because male too, they are sexually abused, you know.
That's true.
So
Male children,
yes.
And that is one part people are not really talking about.
The
Male children
housemates,
are
I
being
have had a lot of
abused.
stories about that. So those, we need to check those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about stigmatization of victims, because a lot of people get to see these victims being stigmatized. So even if they are also, they've been harassed sexually or raped, and they get to see the way they get to treat them, no one wants to talk. So, Mr. Peter.
In fact, basically what has kept this issue of child abuse and rape and all that going is, amongst other things, stigmatization, our cultural values, failure to report, and even when you report, failure to get the much needed help. Now, until we begin to see victims as those who need help and then give them such help, and rather than stigmatize them, this problem will persist. Whether the society, whether institutions, take for instance, there's no family that they would, or most families, let me not say there's no family, most families, during marriage, for instance, if they hear that somebody has been raped, most families will say, please don't. So, and then naturally too, when you walk on the street or you are a place of work and you say, oh, armed robbers came to our house, so they raped my sister, or they raped my cousin or my niece living with me, that is a big issue. That is niece, even if your friends come to your house, they look that niece with different. So these are the things. Society has to change, because if we don't, we'll continue this way. Victims will not be able to report it, and when they don't report it, they conceal it, and when they conceal it, it affects them. They become afraid. You know, it will even affect them psychologically and emotionally. In fact, I've seen a situation whereby it affected somebody's marriage. She was raped at 16, and then she got married at 28, and then her husband has been complaining about, you know, problems in terms of, you know, sexual relationship with his wife, because the fear is still in her. She didn't get help, you know, apparently because they didn't report it. You know, normally they get you psychologists, you know, to attend to you, so that you're able to at least, you know, come out of it, you know, in one piece.
All right, while we were talking, you mentioned the issue of our cultural values and all that. I think the cultural value in itself, a huge part of it too, you know, has failed. has
Yes.
failed us.
Yeah.
Because it's not part of our cultural value as Nigerians,
To
you
rape.
know, for a father to violate a child. That is a taboo, it's an
a taboo,
abomination.
yes.
But we see that happening every day. So that means even the cultural values we're holding on to, you know, has its own issues. You understand what I'm
Yes,
trying to say? So
yeah, but even at that, in most societies in the villages, if they catch you misbehave, you know, even as little as stealing, not to talk of, you know, raping, is a big issue. They bring you out to the town square, and you're, you know, chastised,
Publicly, yes,
humiliated,
yes.
and, you know, dealt with
Yes.
and all that. Those are some of the things that we do traditionally, but which, you know, you can't do in the cities, as it were. So traditionally, there are some helps that you can get in that way to expose things like that. But talking about what our tradition must now do, you know that here in Nigeria and in most African countries, our traditional rulers are believed to be closer to the people. Therefore, some of us believe that the campaign to create awareness for this menace, you know, must begin from the traditional setting, so that at the end of the day, the entire society is well equipped and mobilized towards addressing it.
Okay, talking about the campaign there, Mr. Peter, you know, there's some place of worship, I really don't want to limit it to probably the church or the mosque or whatever it is, but they still don't feel comfortable to talk about sex, probably at the Bible study or probably at the Ilekeu or something. But these kids need to be educated there. So don't you think our religion sector
they need to do more.
needs to do more
they're
about
doing
it?
it. They're trying. I can testify.
They're opening up.
In my
Okay.
church, yes, they're opening
I
up.
think there's a word of caution we need to consider there.
Okay.
Because I had somebody speak on that and I realized she was making sense. Because sometimes if you don't really define what is sex education, it might lead to sex advertisement.
That's true.
So you need to really master how you teach it. It's not just talking about sex education, because there is the aspect of it could be a form of sex advertisement. Because if you talk about something too much, tendency for somebody to want to try.
Exactly.
So you
It
need
becomes
to be
popular.
Have a cautious
Yes,
about it.
to be cautious. Having said that, we still need to teach it, but with caution.
With caution,
okay.
and
Caution.
it should also be that it should be addressed to a particular need. Because if, for instance, I have to give a child of 5 a sex education, what am I telling that child? Is it what I will tell the 15-year-old child? Or is it what I will tell the 21-year-old youth? Do you understand me? So we must be able to specify the areas.
All right.
But I think too that part of ways to address this challenge is that for institutions to now, you know, be really empowered, as it were. Take for instance, the question I would normally want to ask is how many convictions have we got, you know, in the cases of rape or child abuse? The medical facilities, how have our hospitals been able to help victims of rape and abuse? At the end of the day, you equally look at the failure of government, you know, in terms of lack of political will to deal with this matter. Until we have the political will, this kind of challenge will begin to, because when you now see, there's this saying that when you see how somebody is being treated for a particular offense, you know that when you commit that offense, you know, you'll be treated that way. The same with corruption. So how many people have our police actually been arrested and prosecuted successfully? So we need to ask these questions so that it will serve as a precedent, I mean, as a deterrent, so to speak,
Okay.
for other offenders.
All right, but I do know that there's a law now, you know, that carries a sentence of about
25
up to
years.
14 years.
Is it 14?
14 years, yes, for sexual, you know, violence and all of that. And that covers even domestic violence and sexual abuse and all that. So, and even though our judicial system still needs to do more, like you said, but I think living in Lagos, I do know that Lagos is quite proactive, you know,
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Lagos State is very proactive about this issue, and that is not coming from the side of the government. I'm quoting from the side of the people who have had reason to call, you know, the offices involved and how quickly they have responded and done something about it.
Well, I guess it's 25 years jail term now.
Now,
Yeah,
okay, I think it
I
should
think the
even be
media-
death by
I
hanging.
think the media-
In this particular case, I
Okay.
would promote
I
death
think,
by
I
hanging.
think the media owes society.
Yes, in child rape.
Okay, Mr.
Yes.
Peter wants to say something,
Well, like-
patient.
Yes.
The media owes society a responsibility. in
Okay.
this. because their role all this while have never been encouraging. You find out that in a situation whereby there's a rape victim or a child abused, the police are involved, the media wants to report it, they name the child, the family the child comes from, even put the picture of the child in the paper. And then the person that committed the offense is not even put out there. So you're naming and embarrassing the victim rather than protect the victim.
Yes.
And then we like I said, the media must do much here. So awareness creation as well. Because until we do this, we will be just scratching the matter.
That's true. All right, quickly, because of time, let's move on. People are reacting. This one says our cultural values have been forgotten because of religious activities. All right, this one says, good day. I just want to share my experience. I'm a guy of 19. I was abused when I was 10 by a neighbor who is also male. My mom wasn't always around and dad too wasn't available for me. This same guy had sexual intercourse with me for 2 years. I couldn't open up to anyone. I was so happy when I saw this program. Wow. Okay.
So
this is major. This is a guy that was violated by a man. He was 10 and
now he's 19.
He's 19 now. But the thing is, if you are still if you still haven't opened up, there's still a part of you that is dark because of what you
know who to talk to.
Who to talk to.
He doesn't know who to talk to. But that's where the parents is a parental failure. You know, in most homes, you know, I mean, we're all parents. All the kids are not close to the two of you together, both husband and wife. Some are close to the mother, some are close to the father. You know. So, but how come this fellow is not able to
can't even talk to anyone
of them?
So it appears there's a distance between the child and no trust and the parent. So it's a failure of
you need this person needs help. After the show, maybe I'll get in touch with you and let's see. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's psychological. You need to
talk to somebody.
Yeah, talk to somebody.
All right, Precious from Egbeda is reacting. Good afternoon. Most parents in Nigeria don't really care about their kids. Even the ones that care end up spoiling them out of love. They forget that when you spare the rod, you spoil the child. On the other hand, anyone who rapes a child or adult, as the case may be, has a demon in him, and not until that demon is subdued through Christ, the problem will persist. Okay, that is a Christian outlook to this. Yeah. Okay. This other one says, okay, they're coming in, and they are jamming. Olumide Adebayo from Ikole, Ekiti. A lot of societies blame the girl or woman for indecent dressing or moving about at night. Is the girl to blame? What can the society do to stem the tide of rape? One of the things is what we're doing now, talking about it, creating awareness, and you too, you do something, you know, little from your own part.
And you too, dress
exactly. The issue of child rape in this country needs concentration of both the government and the parents and even the traditional rulers. It needs everybody, all hands on deck. Alhaji Musa says, good afternoon. My contribution to the topic is that they should stop building face me, I face you houses that exposes children. It is not about face me or face you. I disagree. I disagree.
Even in flats, even in duplexes.
You'll be amazed that the person who is violating lives inside the same, you know, so it is not about how the house is. All right. This one is asking, is it possible to rape someone's wife? Are you asking, is it possible for you to rape your wife? Yes.
Do you want to plan
it?
Are you planning
yes.
The law says yes.
There's something called spousal rape.
If she doesn't consent.
Yes.
That's what the law says. I don't agree with the law.
It's called spousal rape. Even though you are married to her, if for some genuine reasons,
she said no.
Genuine reasons, she says no and insists, and you have to pin her down, you know, because you're maybe bigger than her or whatever, it is rape. Forget that you paid bride price. It's spousal rape, and you can go to jail. You can go to jail for it.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's not to encourage you.
It's not to encourage you, of course. We always cooperate now. Don't we cooperate? We cooperate. You know, but the thing is, Nigerian men, they like force. They don't know how to pet a woman and gradually.
Don't go there.
That's a topic for another day. Okay, all right, let's talk about something else. And this time it's called the fashion revolution in Nigeria. This has been ongoing on social media for a bit. I learned that some African countries, Nigeria included, 25 countries, isn't it? You know, have made like a pledge called the fashion revolution. So I don't know so much about it, but we have people who know so much about it here. So Mr. Awofeso, what is fashion revolution? What is the whole noise about on social
And the
media?
ready-to-wear, I guess the ready-to-wear.
Yes, I think a revolution, you know, a time comes you just want to own your own fashion.
Okay.
You want to own your own life. You don't believe I have to be dependent on the foreign people. And you know, Nigerians, we're very fashionable. I want to talk in the context of Nigeria.
Okay.
We are very, very fashionable. And if care is not taken, discover that we are over-dependent on the foreign brands.
Yes.
But you now want to look inward, why can't I make it? Why can't I do it? So you begin to think deep. I think we need to have a change. So that is the beginning of revolution. But you see, you have to be very careful when you say revolution. The revolution could be in terms of the fashionistas. They love to dress. But revolution is not complete if you don't have the stakeholders in the industry creating the revolution themselves. That is now the stakeholders taking charge, taking control in terms of production, in terms of providing what the fashionista need. So both ways, I mean, on the two sides, the revolution has to be. The owners of the industry, the stakeholders, must take control. For instance,
sorry to cut in, and if we say we're having a fashion revolution in Nigeria to wear our own brands, the brands have to be available for us to wear. That's what you're saying. Okay.
So you need to take charge. And Nigerians, you know, we have good taste. So the owners of the industry, the designers, they really have to provide good quality work. And that is how many of us are coming together. I think we need to take charge. And you know, fashion business, anywhere in the world, in any economy, is big business. We should not leave it in the hands of the foreigners. Like many of us believe, if you want to buy ready to wear, you need to go to Dubai, you need to go to Turkey, you need to go to England. Why can't we look inward? Our designers, Nigerians, should wake up and say, yes, we can deliver, we can do it. And I think that is the beginning of the real revolution. We want to develop Nigerian brands, homemade, homegrown brands that can compete internationally, so that Nigerians, they don't need to travel out of the country to clothe themselves. Beyond the African wears, even our own English, like it's putting on shirts. You want to call it English? You want to call it African? He's a Nigerian. Why can't we make it? I'm putting on English. Why can't I make it? Of course, this is made there, no doubt, but we need more of that, and that is the beginning of the revolution. Give it to them. I tell you, Nigerians, they will have it.
Okay. All right. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, the internet actually broke to the news of an Ankara just plain without stones that was sold about $1,200 or was it pounds?
600
pounds.
Went viral.
It went
Yes, it
viral.
went viral.
Oh, you saw
Yes,
it.
1,600 pounds.
And I'm sure that was more or less like a wake-up
That Ankara is
call.
like 2005 in the market. Or so.
Do you
Yeah, but
understand?
it's you women.
And it's plain.
It's you women to, you know, some of you believe that it is sold, you know, expensively before
It's not
No,
true
it's not.
anymore.
No, it's not. It's not that. But
was not
that's no,
even
Mr. Peter. It's not even sold in Nigeria. Do you understand?
If you want
But
to
the main
buy
thing was there was actually a wake-up call to every designer in Nigeria.
You
And
know,
I think the aspect we are missing, you know, that particular product is because you sometimes you want to cost the fabric. You said the entire is 2,000 or whatever. You see, behind every garment, there is what we call the brand value. If you don't make your work a brand, it's difficult. Because you see, that product, if somebody else makes it, you can't get it sold at that amount. But the brand behind it is the issue. And that's exactly what we're saying. We need to develop Nigerian brands. We need to take our businesses to that level of brand awareness. It's not just the cost of the fabric that is being sold, the value of the brand. And that is where we need to wake up.
all right, Mrs. Dogubo, let me ask you this question. I mean, it's enough it's okay for us to have that awakening of mind, you know, to know that as Nigerians, so you know, we can look within and promote our own kind of fabrics, our own kind of style, and all of that. But do you think we actually have something to sell in terms of, you know, brands in Nigeria?
Oh, we do. We do. Because I look at the fashion industry today, the challenge we are having mostly is the capacity to produce. We have good designers that can produce ready-to-wear, English, native, or whatever we call it. The main thing is produced here. It's the facilities we don't have yet. And that is what we are fighting for as designers. We can bring your African wares, is there. Bring the English wear, like the shirt he's putting on. I don't know. Is this made in Nigeria?
Very well.
Very well.
In
Do
Saleko.
you understand me? Okay. So we have a lot of things that, you know, I just believe we have a program coming up soon, next week.
Just to show
By the time you see what designers create, you marvel.
in terms of quality.
Yes, in terms of quality, in terms of, but what
excellence.
we need now is the capacity. You should
And
be
the
able
government
to
support.
come to us and say, please, can you supply us 2,000 shirts or dresses? Then I say, yes, why not? I should be able to produce, but do I have the facilities to meet up that? So the government needs to come in to support us. But before then, the government needs to see what we are doing. Our extent of production, the finishing, the product we have on ground before they can back us. And that is where we say the revolution is coming in.
Yes.
That's why we tag this program Ready to Wear, so that people will know we can do the ready to wear thing in Nigeria.
Yeah, but beyond government, because I'm a little bit always hesitant to call government in things like this. Can't the private sector, can businesses, banks, you know, fund some of these very serious creative things? Because we're talking about what's government going to do. Government is not going to give you free funds. You know, you're not looking for that. But I'm sure you're talking about creating an enabling environment.
The fashion up, that's been
Whereas-
something which you've been clamoring for.
Whereas for a serious business that has shown, what's it called, intent of, you know, actually doing well.
Potential.
Yeah, potential.
Yes.
That's the word. Banks, investors should be able to invest. Yeah. So, but if people now take it up as serious business, do a proper business plan, you know, market yourself to be able to get investors to get involved and to be able to buy these machineries, just like government. I mean,
Abia State
last time.
Yes.
You know, sent out some
to China.
to go and learn, and then with the belief that when they now come back, they will be set up and be able to produce, you know, en masse. So I'm sure maybe if your group begin to look, you know, outside government, you know, to look at, you know, private sector, both for funding and technical support, I'm sure it will.
Yes, it will.
And I think you have a point, and that's basically what we are saying, because we have come together as a group. We're doing the new frontier, taking authority of our industry. That's why we're coming together. Let's start from ourselves. The revolution begins within, and that's why we're putting together the expo, the Ready to Wear Expo, coming 23rd, 24th, and 25th of this month. We want to show Nigerians that we have what it takes. And that is the whole essence. There are a lot of Nigerians that can deliver.
Sure.
But despite that, we still need the support of both the private and government, because it costs a lot of money to do. I mean, in terms of capacity,
mass production,
of all
and I think that is the edge China has over. You know,
and their
they can
government
mass
supports
produce.
them, so
Yes.
they can
Yeah,
mass produce.
because I could remember.
very, very important.
Because I could remember that's something in which the Fadan president, Mrs. Fumi Ajila Ladipo, she has been clamoring for a fashion hub since. So if the government needs to look into this, she says something that even the madman on the streets wears clothes.
Government can actually do, you know, something either by giving, to encourage, you know, either by giving tax breaks or something, although not from what Lagos State government is doing by.
There are so many things government can do.
Because it will drive most of them away. If the fellow who made this shirt, you know, Wasiu, he has about 4 machines and he's got about 3 staff that work with him. And then when they finish, the packaging and all is in Lagos Island. And his shop, the store that he uses,
very
can
tiny.
barely, You and I can't fit
Can't
in
fit
there.
in. I get that.
But I tell you, if you ask others to produce maybe 20,000 in 1 month, he may not be able to.
be able to
So
make it.
that is the
Yes.
problem many of us have. We have people that can do quality things, but in terms of capacity, we need support. And that is why we are
You're right.
inviting government, Nigerians at large to be at the exhibition. Come and see what stuff Nigerian designers are made of, so that we can get support thereafter.
And what we are also looking at, you know, for instance now, I have an order to produce maybe 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. And then there are some special machines I cannot use. Technology comes in. Do you understand me?
Right.
So these machines we are talking about, can I afford them? And then, but if we have a place and I have such an order, I can move to Alero. Please, we are going to use your production hub. This is what I have. All the machines are there. Do you understand me? And maybe at that hub, there are different kind of
Machine that does
can do
different things, and there's 24-hour
We also
supply of electricity.
Yes, people can
You
build
understand me?
sheets.
Exactly.
Yes. So, and the way technology has gone now, I don't need to take my tape rule and measure her. You just need to go, we use the 3D and then bam, measurement come out and production goes there.
Wow.
Now, China and other countries, they are beginning to produce our Ankara. So what are we talking about?
Our showcase.
Our showcase.
So
They
we
started.
need to really
So if we don't wake up now,
Wake up.
at the end of the day, in fact, we won't see any job to do. I will tell you.
And
that.
that is a big industry that employs, because garments production is labor intensive.
Yes.
It's an industry that government should really focus on.
They
If
should.
that industry
Yes.
can really pick
They
up.
should.
Yes.
Lots
True.
of
It
Nigerians.
caters
we-
for a
Because I know that a lot of young
And
people,
even people,
graduates. That's something in which a lot of them are now
Yes.
going
And even the
into.
value chain
Yes.
of fashion is quite big.
Yes, that's
so
true.
government really needs to look into it.
And
And having
you know-
said that, we need to start from
Yes.
ourselves. So the
Yeah.
revolution starts
Starts
with
from
us.
with us.
And that's why we have come together as a group organizing the Fashion Expo.
And you see the student living here at Tech, they don't need to go and get a shop to start with one machine. They can work there in the fashion hub. You understand me? So that is why you see we have small kiosks here, this tailor, this designer. At the end of the day, they produce what everybody will be complaining, oh, designers, they can disappoint you, designers can't do this.
And it's not
But
their fault.
if they know that I have finished, I need a job. A medical doctor finished school, he goes to work in the hospital, right? A lawyer finished and he goes to the chambers, and just like that. So we need our own to come out and do something. We need machinists. Some of them don't even need to just come in and begin to have a shop and so.
Sure.
This one just needs to
Yes,
be
they
producing,
can work,
maybe
yes.
sleeve, you are working, you know that you are doing this is cutting that, and everybody adds value to what
You can
they
see
are
you're
producing.
concentrating on
Yes.
embroidery, you know.
But I think the time has come,
It's
definitely,
now.
because
Okay.
we are quite awake now. We're taking charge. And
Yeah.
In the
I
next
think
3
there's
years,
an
it'll be another
awakening.
story. It'll be
Yeah.
another story
Because
in the fashion
before now, if you watch all these big events and people on red carpets and they say, who are you wearing? Who made your clothes? You know, people are so quick to mention foreign designers. But these days, everybody's pround to mention
Now the
a
Nigerian
Nigerian
brand.
designer. You know,
And then they were known
all
as
of that.
tailors
Yes.
now too. So they don't call them tailors.
Designers,
And
they
then,
have what it takes.
political leaders, and that was one of the things that actually attracted me to the former finance minister, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She personified the Nigerian,
They were
and
in-
the
oh,
African.
yes.
Anywhere you saw her, you know, till date, you know. So that
With
tends
her
to make
signature
you,
head tie.
Yeah, you know. So
I don't know how
looking-
that thing doesn't
looking
fall
well.
off. You know, like it's another person who did that was the late Dora Akuni.
Akuni,
She
yes.
did that as well. Yes, yes. I think we should have more of that. Yeah, the other day we were talking about something about fashion came up on the show too. We discussed it, and people were saying maybe in our banks, you know, maybe they should have like an African day, maybe every
Yes,
Wednesday
when we're talking about
or
cultural day,
something.
yes.
Cultural day, you wear something African,
African
to
to
a place
work.
of
In fact,
Yes.
there's a-
Who says our Nigerian
Even the
police
airports,
force
even the
cannot
airports.
have
Sometimes
an
you just
Ankara
need-
uniform
sometimes
for
you
one
just
day of the week?
necessarily need to
Just
balance
the thoughts.
this thing. Because if you study countries like India, countries like China, as culturally strong as they are, you know, you must know what the people want. For instance, an average person in China, maybe somebody got, you see them wearing suits. But the trick they did is to develop that industry. They decided rather than they insisting you have to wear the traditional Chinese outfit, we will rather take charge and produce the suit ourselves. So that at the end of the day, the gains is for the economy. And by so doing, they started developing their ready-to-wear industry, both on and abroad. An average suit is made in China now.
Yes.
Even suits that are sold in England, in America, they are made in China. Because sometimes you just need to apply this wisdom. What do the people want? You don't need to insist you have to dress culturally. You just give them
What they want. And there are ways you can even modify your culture.
You just need to adapt it to your own taste.
Exactly.
Like our kaftan these days, you know, the kaftans, in the olden days, the kaftan used to be loose and big.
The agbadas even.
Yes, now it's been adapted to the youth taste. It's looking formal, looking smart, and everybody wears
And the agbadas are smarter now. Thank God.
just to redefine it.
That's big.
Before you have to use like 12 yards, you know, to make an agbada. That's
I wore
adaptation.
a t-shirt yesterday that I bought in America some 1-2 years ago. And I was like, okay, should I tuck this in? Or just try? And as I was like contemplating whether I should tuck it in, I saw a label there and I turned it like this. It said produced in Vietnam.
Wow.
Really? In Buffalo.
But there's another area where you're looking at. That takes me to the production stuff. You know, labor is cheap in China, but it's getting expensive now. That's why they are moving to Vietnam. And now it's even getting expensive in Vietnam. The next stop point is Africa.
It's Africa.
And we need to really be prepared to take the responsibility of producing, becoming a producing country.
We need to take it fast so they don't move to another country.
Yes, that's one reason why we are coming together to take charge, so that it's not going to South Africa, it's not going to Ghana, it's coming to
Nigeria.
I'm happy about this.
Good one. Good one.
It's holding at 10 degrees.
Wonderful.
Okay, don't worry, we'll talk about that later.
Go ahead. It's a fashion expo. Go ahead. From when to when?
Yes, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
23rd, 24th, 25th. At 10 degrees in Kajabili.
So come on and see everything African.
Yes, that's the only science. We need to take authority. The revolution has started.
Well,
okay, I don't know about any other state, but Lagos State, this is a challenge to Mr. Akiume Ambode, you know, because we know you are handsome. Yes.
Yeah, what did you say? It's handsome.
No.
Handsome.
Hands-on.
Mr. Peter, what is it?
Why is it only handsome?
You said that.
Let's have a fashion hub in Lagos. Let's start from Lagos.
We need the support.
Yeah, the support.
The center of excellence.
Yes. So let's make that because that's one business. Fashion design is one business that caters for both the low and the high in society.
And that's a very wide value chain.
Drive through a street, you count up to like 20 different small fashion shops, and all of them have clients. So that tells you it's big business. Quickly, at time.
Please, ma, I want to be educated on this. What's the difference between a tailor
and a designer?
Please, ma.
Yes, you can answer that. You see,
our time is up. Mr. Peter Osangbe, you get your answer behind the camera. Our time is up.
Tailoring and designing.
Okay.
That's the full designer.
Okay.
But a tailor doesn't necessarily design, but he can
cut and join. Let's call cut and join. Okay. All right, that's as much as we can take on the show. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of it. Thank you, Mrs. Adeto Awofeso. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Mr. Peter Osangbe. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Mrs. Grace Dogubo. Thank you for coming. Alero, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I guess tomorrow we'll be giving out the Black Panther tickets.
Yes,
on
we
the
have
program.
10 free tickets to go and watch Black Panther. So don't miss tomorrow's edition.
We have 10 free tickets to our show.
Oh, okay, that's 20. All right, tomorrow at noon, join us on The Buzz, all right, for another interesting edition. Have yourself a good day. Bye-bye.